Yo, what the fuck is going on? My name is Bulma, welcome back to my channel. So Poison Garden asked me if I could do a Mixdown tutorial, so I've decided to open my Geek 2 U remix and show you how I've done it, because I really like the mix on this one. So this is the track we are going to listen. Okay, so let's start with the synths. So I process my synths and mix them almost all the time like this. I put OTT, I already show you, so it makes the sound fatter. I'm going to play with and without. Then to make it more interesting, I like to add some kind of amp or faturator. In this case, it's a plugin from Kilohertz. You should check all their stuff, are really great. I'm going to play with the mix knob so you can see what it's doing. Let's bring a bit more the eyes, make it shine a bit more. Then there is an EQ to remove the lows from the OTT. And then I'm going to show you, you should put a saturator on all your tracks, because when you render the audio, you see the dynamic range, so the spikes on the audio. When you put the limiter, basically the limiter will try to bring all the spikes together with the rest of the track. The more dynamic range there is, the more the limiter will have to work, and you will hear some distortion at some point, and this is what makes that your track will not be louder. So if you put a saturator or a limiter on all your tracks and just cut the spikes a bit, then it will really help you to improve the loudness on your final mix. So just pushing the drive knob here, for example, I'm going to show you in the limiter. This is without the saturator. So you see here is working at less 11, and if I put the saturation, it's going to have work less because the spikes will already be cut. So here it's minus 9.8, and before it was minus 11. You can see there is less dynamic range. You can push more the track in the limiter. And if you do this also on the drums, on the kick, on the bass, everything will sum up together, and then you can push more the master and get a louder track. So really you should start doing this on everything if you don't do it already. And then I have put ozone imager. I really like to use the imager to control the dimension of the synth. I'm going to play to you with and without. It's making it more spacious. For the synths, that's about it. So OTT to make it fatter, saturation to cut the transient, a limiter, and an imager to control the space. For the drums, only tops, remove the frequency you don't need. I like to use drum bass to get more crunch. Really useful. You can change the transient, the boominess. Second drum loop. Same thing, drum bass, overdrive to make it cut through more in the mix. It's almost like the drum bass. Taking off the frequency you don't need. Decapitator is a saturation plugin to cut the peaks again. But I prefer to use Decapitator on drums, I think it sounds better. See how it will get brighter. I have grouped them and make a drum bass to control the space instead of putting like an imager. In this case I've used a reverb, but in parallel. You can open an audio effect track and duplicate the channel and put a reverb at 100%, or you can also send the drum bass to the return channel, like this one for example. Here I use the Pro Air because I like the preset valve. I've chosen the open hi-hat ambience, really straightforward, and then you mix with the volume. just a tiny bit. What more? Getting rid of the unwanted frequency, so it's all the time is the same concept. When you layer drums like this, the transient will add. So if there is a add here or a clap and there is another clap on the other loop, the two claps will play together and it could make a really big transient. So don't forget to compensate with a saturator or a limiter. Also, when you cut some frequencies like the lows in this case, it will make the samples sound brighter. So maybe too harsh. In this case, I've used a Neutron to tame the harshness, as you can see in this preset. Here it's all the frequencies taking off. Sounds a lot cleaner than the limiter, as I said. That's it for the drums. So EQ, saturation, limiter, and add some space for example with a parallel reverb. Last group, kick and bass. So the kick should be in mono, so you can do it with an utility and click on mono. And the most problematic thing is that the kick will clash with your sub. So you have two solutions. You can sidechain the bass to the kick and also control the length of your kick. So here the kick was too boomy, or you can use an EQ to remove some boominess, or here I prefer to use a transient shaper that is quicker and cleaner. This is from Kilohertz. I'm going to turn the knob so you can see what it's doing. You can put more attack. Take out some pump. And sustain, here it's what it needed to be done. And I did nothing else on the kick. And for the bass, there is the sub. What you need to do is to add some harmonics, because the sub, if you play on the phone or on shitty speakers, you will not hear the really low frequency. So if you add harmonics, you will can still hear it. So there is two ways of doing this. All my sub, lately I'm using the operator hip hop sub bass, so it's native from Ableton. Then I add some distortion. I'm going to play the bass. So you see, distortion. If you check on the shitty speakers, you can check with this one, with the EQ8. Cheesy speakers, you see they have no low frequency. You can hear this. If I take off the distortion, you almost don't listen nothing, because all the frequency are there and you want to add there. So you do distortion, see, and saturation, and now you can listen to it. And with the sub, sounds great. In mono, also important for the club. And in the center, so you have more space to mix the rest of your track. You want to cut the spikes, also the transient with the limiter, like for the synths and the drums. So just make like a bit of yellow, not so much, but just the little spikes. Don't overdo it. For the problem with the kick, there is the sidechain. So just here, LFO tool, you could do with a compressor too. But this is cleaner and quicker. So you see this waveform, the gray one is the original waveform and the red one is the one that is modified by the envelope. So it lets the space for the kick. And then there was too much sub, so I've done an EQ curve. Now what you want to do is process them together to glue the bass and the kick. There is this group. What you can do to glue it is you can compress them, or you can limit or saturate also, or you can put also, I like to use the Pro MB. In this case I didn't do it, but it's really great. You can take some frequency that you don't like, compress them. Okay, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and you learned something. If you have any questions, just comment on the post. And thank you for supporting me on Patreon. See you next time.